How do you sort out the so-called jargon from real-world practices that work? Do the members of your organization find some business or technology advice utterly confusing? Welcome to Real Talk with Sam Holcman. In this program, we set the record straight, and in terms that business people and technology people can understand. Now, here is your host, Sam Holcman.
Welcome to this edition of Real Talk. I'm Sam Holcman. Thanks for tuning in again for our continuing broadcasts. And as you know from our previous broadcasts, we sort of get straight to the point, and sometimes a little bit of this is uncomfortable. And this particular broadcast is a wake-up call, another wake-up call to how poor our software development practices are. If you think you're too small to be affected by ransomware and cyber attacks and all these other things, I'm going to paraphrase and read this particular article to you. It's kind of nerve-wracking. And it's titled, Ransomware Attack Paralyzes Milking Robots - Cow Dead. I'm not sure if any of my listeners are farmers or not, but I hope you get the parallel. Let's get our act together as software developers, as enterprise architects and business architects. And so, as I said, I'm going to paraphrase this to you. Put yourself in this position. It doesn't matter if you're a massively multinational organization with billions of dollars or the local store there. Our software development practices are causing all of this. The root cause is maturity level 1 practices. And we've got to get our act together because all of us are vulnerable. So let me read this article to you, and it's a little uncomfortable. After an attack paralyzed his computer, a farmer from Switzerland was no longer able to read his cow's vital data, resulting in the death of one of his herds. And this article, by the way, if you're interested and you want to read it in detail, is by a gentleman named Martin Bayer, Bayer. He's the editor-in-chief of B2B Computer World in Germany, just to give you an idea where this source is. So this isn't one of those third-party nonsense websites that you may be looking at for intellectual entertainment. This is real stuff. And it starts off, it says, even small farmers are not immune to cyber attacks. This is the whole point of this particular broadcast. A farmer in Switzerland recently experienced an attack on his computer system, which was also connected to the dairy farm's milking robots. Ultimately, one of the cows died as a result of this attack. The farmer initially suspected an outage because he was no longer receiving milking data from his cows. Of course, not literally the cows, by the way. The farmers were alerted by his milking system manufacturer that he had been hacked. Now, let me clear this up for a moment. His milking system manufacturer, that he had been hacked. He wasn't hacked. The milking system manufacturer's software caused the issue. He's just a consumer. He doesn't have control of the software development practices. He doesn't have any control of the change process for that software. He doesn't have control of any of the internet that is going on there. It's always fun to point fingers at other people. And, of course, who's suffering here? The attack included a ransomware component that locked up his data, and the attackers were demanding $10,000 to decrypt it. Okay? Missing vital data, the farmer's rescue attempt was too late, unfortunately. The farmer initially considered whether he should agree to the attack and ransom demand. Not receiving data on the amount of milk produced was not an emergency situation for the farmer, whose dairy farm sits on the northern edge of Lake Zug. The milking robot can also operate without a computer or network connection in the event of an outage, so the animals can continue to be milked. So there was sort of a backup. But there's always a however here, and this is what we have to recognize, the unintended consequences. But he also received vital data from his animals via the system, not just the milking. This particular was critical when cows were pregnant. And of course, one of the farmer's animals had a calf that had died in the womb. But he was unable to recognize this emergency at time because of the disabling of the computer. We tried everything to save the mother, the farmer said, but we had to put her down. Overall, the farmer estimated the damage caused by the cyber incidents was about 6,000 Swiss francs. That's approximately, by the way, in U.S. dollars, about $7,000, primarily for veterinary costs and the purchase of a new computer. If there's any consolation here, the hackers got away empty-handed. Any of us are vulnerable to the sloppy maturity level 1 software development practices. These are the unintended consequences that we have to add to the costs of not doing architecture and not doing maturity level 3 systems development. It's all of us. Pointing fingers is not going to do anything. By the way, paying $5 million or $5 billion fines isn't going to do anything either. We need to fix our software development practices and get a baseline for addressing and managing change, which is real enterprise architecture, real business architecture. And REAL stands for realistic, enabling, actionable, and logical. Let's take these lessons to heart before it's too late.
Thank you for tuning in to Real Talk. Be sure to join your host, Sam Holcman, again for another edition of our program. We'll have more real topics of discussion then.